Chloe, very good morning to you. Where should we start? Should we start with Jihadi John, or whatever his name is? He's not actually Jihadi John.
Jihadi John, but Jihadi
Ringo. I was never terribly comfortable with this name, the Beatles of this little group of four guys who were horrible, ghastly individuals who took part in killing people, who took part in watching other people killing other people. And he's now in jail in America because of his part in ISIS, and he now is asking for sort of pathos and asking if he can come back to be in jail in Britain. I don't think we want him, do we?
No, we don't want him at all. We don't want the taxpayers to have to pay for it. And we clearly know what he's doing. He's trying to go to a cushier prison. This one that he's in America, he has to be in his cell 23 hours of the day.
Proper prison.
Yeah, he's got a tiny little slit in his door that he can look out of. It is not fun. And quite rightly, because you've been going around beheading people. I'm sorry, but quite frankly, I don't really care about your human rights if you've been murdering a load of people. He wants to come to... at Belmarsh, you have the different tiers. You've got basic, standard and enhanced. We've heard Axel Rudikobana has been moved up a band. And if
is he in Belmarsh now?
I think
he's been moved from that place where he was able to get a kettle access, wasn't he? So he was just
but whichever one Axel's in, it's the same system where you can move from basic to standard. And my understanding of Axel Rudikobana is they basically moved him up, not because he's being good, but to try and convince him to be good. And once you're up to standard, not even enhanced, you have access to the Freeview telly. You get £5.50 a day to spend on snacks in the canteen. It's far more fun than this US prison, so it's very clear what he's doing. I also have my concerns about terrorists moving from these intense prisons in the US to these ones, because I worry they're more likely to be able to escape or do something stupid, because we know what our prisons are like here. It's absolute chaos. The security is nowhere near as good as it should be.
Really bad,
I mean, we had Daniel Khalif escape from Wandsworth prison, and you definitely don't want a risk of some guy like this ending up on the streets of Britain, because that is a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, exactly right. They've got a piece in the Sun about what it's like inside what they call Super Max, the US prison designed to be escape-proof. And it does look like something out of a Sylvester Stallone movie. And it says, vile El Sheikh spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement in his Supermax jail cell, built from reinforced concrete. Each 87-square-foot cell has a solid door with a small slit for a window. The prison, known as ADX and dubbed the Alcatraz of the Rockies, is designed to be escape-proof. You know, let him rot there. Why? You know, this is the problem: is that there will be lawyers in this country who will be advocating for his arrival, and his human rights are being violated by the Americans, advocating for him to come back. You know, we don't want him back.
The problem people have with these Supermax prisons is they say, oh, this isn't very good at rehabilitation, it's making their mental health and their state of mind worse, so they're not going to be rehabilitated. But I would say someone who has been beheading people is probably too far gone to be rehabilitated. I don't think they should see the light of day again. I wouldn't trust them to be let back out onto the streets if they said, oh, I'm a reformed person.
There are some people you can't rehabilitate, right?
Exactly. I've been to one of these ISIS rehabilitation camps for children, and even the kids who haven't started beheading people are only 7 or 8 years old. Some of them, they say, we will never ever be able to get this ideology out of them. It is so ingrained.
They've already got it at the age of 7.
Yes. Well, the mothers of the families play a big role of indoctrinating the kids. When you do that at a time when a kid's brain is growing and you enforce those neural pathways in the brain, it's very difficult to ever get it out of them. So someone who's gone so far as to become part of a gang, a beheading gang, I mean, they're so far gone. They just shouldn't see the light of day again. They should face the consequences of doing an absolutely monstrous, disgusting thing. Yeah. Look at
Shamima Begum, because inevitably, whenever we talk about ISIS, whenever we talk about bringing people back to the country, we know that there's been hundreds and hundreds of people that they've actually allowed to come back to Britain, some of whom are serving sentences, some of whom are not, though. And Shamima Begum is constantly trying to come back. We know that this is a ghastly, horrible, really, really vile individual, who's had 3 lots of kids, all of whom died because she couldn't give a stuff about them. And she watched and helped to kill loads and loads of people, and we don't want to hear, do we?
No, I mean, she probably, so she is in they rank the camps, the rehabilitation camps in Syria, as to how indoctrinated they think they still are, and she is in the camp for the people who are, the least indoctrinated. She probably wouldn't come here and commit some sort of terrorist attack, but everyone I spoke to that's interviewed her or had anything to do with her says she is just, I won't swear, but as you say, absolutely ghastly, rude, horrible individual, and so hence I haven't got much sympathy. I interviewed her first husband, Diego.
Did you?
Yes.
The guy who's he's in jail in Holland, right?
He's in jail. We gave him a nice meal to convince him to come out of jail and speak to us. Right. But that was very interesting.
Wow, tell me about that.
Yeah, so he's from Holland.
Yeah.
And he was extremely charming and lovely, and it just went to show how good actors they are and how well they train people to lie and convince people that they're rehabilitated to be let out, because he pretended that he's a lovely guy, he's never done anything wrong, ISIS have never beheaded or hurt any innocent civilians, and it was really interesting.
Really?
But you could see the way that he painted the ideology, how you might convince somebody who is a young teenager that this ideology is a good idea if you don't mention the horrific stuff and just talk about how the West has been.
So in his words, what did he say was good about what he did then?
He is someone who, like many young people, see the West as evil, and the West have been getting involved in the Middle East where they shouldn't done, and he sees being part of ISIS as some, a backlash.
Like a resistance.
A resistance to that, but he doesn't.
Which is what Hamas terrorists say as well.
Yes.
We're a resistance movement.
Exactly, and when you just talk about it in those simple terms and don't actually talk about the horrible things they do, beheading people and whatnot, you can see why it might not sound too bad to an impressionable young kid who's been taught all their life that the West is bad.
Sure. It's quite chilling, actually. I find it really chilling that there are people out there who actually can consider, because I've seen the videos from what happened on October the 7th where people were actually physically beheaded, and it's really, I mean, it's never going to leave me. I'll go to sleep one night and just think about it, and it's just awful.
No, it's crazy.
Horrendous.
It's absolutely insane.
The idea that these people are in any way sort of, people that you can conduct a conversation with at all about anything is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Hamas and ISIS, both very similar. The stuff that you can be so the fact that you can be so indoctrinated to be think that it is a good thing,
right?
And be able to bring yourself to behead people.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed us at the roundabouts in Raqqa in Syria, what they would do is they would behead people and put all their heads around the circle of the roundabout for the whole town to see, and then they would boil people alive in boiling oil in front of their families on these roundabouts. I mean, it's just sickening to think that a human being can be brought to the point of doing that.
These are the people, by the way, that David Lammy gave a load of money to in Syria just recently, £100 million, I think. Very nice. Well done, David Lammy. We're talking about that, plus a load of other things, of course. Meanwhile, let's talk a bit about what the latest is on the migrant front, because a lot of pressure on Keir Starmer after Nigel Farage this week said that he wants to leave the ECHR, he wants to kick out all of the sort of agreements we've got with the United Nations, and basically he wants to return anyone who comes here illegally back to where they came from. Here's a new Keir Starmer video. Check it out. Is that it? Securing British borders. I mean, the bloke is a complete numpty. He's not securing British borders at all. And why does he not actually come out and say? Would you not think? I mean, if Nigel Farage was the biggest threat to you, and rather than sort of hiding in the background of Downing Street, would you not come out and go, Nigel Farage has said this, here's what I'm going to say. Nigel Farage has said that, here's what I'm going to say. This man has completely and utterly hijacked the agenda, and we are the government, and we are going to tell you exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to tell you exactly why Nigel Farage's plan isn't going to work. But he's done none of that, because he's let Nigel Farage have the floor, he's let Nigel Farage have free rein to say what he wants to say, and he looks more and more like a beleaguered, hopeless, useless Prime Minister, doesn't he?
It's completely useless. I mean, they've put that video out where they just say securing our borders. Where is the substance?
Yeah.
And they also
because they're not securing our borders.
They also
There's
put
thousands of people coming in.
Yeah, they also put out on the Labour Party X account yesterday a graphic that says, if you arrive here illegally, you will be detained and deported, or you will face detention and deportation.
At some point.
But it's a lie. It's a complete lie. If you come here illegally, there is a teeny, teeny, tiny chance that you will be detained and deported. Yeah. So they've just resorted to lying.
Are you telling me that Keir Starmer's a liar?
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought?
Because you know what happens?
Who would have thought?
You know what happens is that every time we say Keir Starmer's a liar, Downing Street complains to my bosses and go, why does Mike Graham keep saying he's a liar? And so now everybody that comes on the show just says he's a liar. And it's basically because everybody knows he's a liar. There's no problem there. Yeah,
I mean, you just send them, when they complain, just send them a dossier of evidence back. Just send them a list of all the lies.
Here's the lies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know. But how useless is this Prime Minister? I mean, even in your short life, right? I mean, you probably haven't seen that many Prime Ministers, but he's just absolutely bloody useless.
I mean,
and a liar.
I'm honestly amazed by how badly he's managed to perform in the past year. I didn't think they'd be perfect, but I thought they might get a few more things done than the Tories, even if I didn't completely agree. I just thought, you know, they've been sat, you know, itching on the back benches, on the opposition benches for all of these years, waiting, getting ready for this. Surely they'll, you know, build a few homes or something, but Angela Rayner's just busy buying new flats for herself.
I don't mind a party that differs from me. I don't mind a political party coming into government and doing things that I don't like. But what I really
long as they're doing something.
What I really object to is the incompetence and the level of incompetence, which is off the scale. They can't do anything. They literally, you know, they've screwed up the economy, they've screwed up the NHS, they've screwed up the trains, they've screwed up, you know, the economy, they've screwed up immigration. Everything is going to hell in a handcart under their tutelage, and yet they have no answers for it. None at all. And all we know is that everything is a lot worse. I mean, have we got the clip from yesterday that we played about Keir Starmer saying what would happen to companies and or private individuals? We're going to dig it out. We played it yesterday, where he basically said in the run-up to the election, if any, you know, political party makes a mess of running the country, they should just get out. Just get out of the way. And it's quite ironic, and we'll find it before the end of the hour. It's quite ironic because you just go, well, you can't really argue with that, in which case you have to get the hell out.
I mean, there's a tweet for everything. Yeah. Everything they say.
There's always a tweet.
You can always go back and find a tweet. So if they were sticking by their own word on some of the old tweets they've written, they would have resigned by now.
I know.
Yeah, it's just... and what really annoys me is the constant gaslighting, where there's clearly bad news, and he or someone else in that Labour government will come out and say something that everyone knows is just completely false. Right. I mean, for example, we have got unemployment skyrocketing. It's predicted to overtake the level it was during COVID. Right. And what did he do? He sat in front of the liaison committee. This is the same day when he told the liaison committee, the clip went viral of him saying there are plenty of homes.
Oh, yeah.
But he also...
Which nobody can understand. How do you come up with that one?
He also said, rising unemployment is a sign of positive economic news.
Yeah, because his
the jobs market is so good now that people are leaving their jobs to find better jobs. That's why the unemployment is rising. And then when it comes to the economy, everyone knows the economy is not going well. We may have to even be bailed out by the IMF. Right. Yet he keeps going, oh, we had the fastest growth in the G7 in the first quarter of this year. Shut up!
But also,
I've had enough of it.
But also, in real world terms, you know, you are a young woman embarking on your career sort of for the first time. Do you know anyone who has decided that I'm going to give up the job I've got and I'm going to claim unemployment benefit and I'm going to be basically registered as unemployed while I look for a better job? Why would you're not going to do that? Nobody's going to give up a job they've got in order to go onto the unemployment, which is what he's basically trying to sell us. He's basically trying to say the reason that the unemployment figures are up is because people have decided that they're looking for other jobs. Absolute BS. Bollocks. Sorry, I know I got in trouble yesterday for swearing. I'm going to get in trouble again today because I can't take it anymore. I just can't take it. It's 6:20. This is what is it? It's breakfast. It's talk. Welcome back to Morning Glory, 23 minutes past 6. I'm Mike Graham. Chloe Dobbs is here. We're going through the stories in the papers. It's not a massive news day, but there's plenty going on, so we will be telling you about the big stories of the day, including that wind farms have fuelled an energy price rise. That's in the Sun on page 2. And also, of course, on the front page of the Telegraph, they're talking about the idea that weight loss jabs are going to surge in price, and that's going to really be a massive problem. But let's talk about Keir Starmer, because he's been giving interviews right, left and centre. Nothing about immigration, by the way, but everything about recruitment to the army. Here he is talking to somebody called Seamus, who he said is a friend of his.
What about you, sir?
I'm the first in my family to join the British Army.
What age were you when you joined?
19. If you don't take steps and you don't take risks, you're never going to get anywhere, and you're never going to move forward with your life. So if anyone's ever struggling, just remember there is something.
That's a great message to say, particularly to young people who 18, 19,
yeah, absolutely.
Often struggling, may not have quite got the grades they wanted in their exams, or that transition away from home could be quite really hard.
Yeah, of course.
So is that his version of, you should join the army if you haven't got any other sort of things going on? What's he doing?
I guess so, but it wasn't very impressive.
Seamus.
It wasn't, I was
Is he from
expecting
Ukraine?
for a video telling you to join the armed forces, I was expecting some sort of super patriotic video with the national anthem playing.
Or something, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, boys get excited about tanks and planes, right? So surely, where was the excitement there? He's just
also, Christian has pointed out, if you look at it carefully, he's still got the cold sore. Do you remember when he was at the sort of summit with various with people with Trump last week, when he went over to Washington? He had this cold sore on his lip.
I didn't notice
Would
that.
you mind covering that up? He's still got the remnants of it there. While he's talking to Seamus with his cap on. What a plank. What a complete plank.
Yeah.
You're the Prime Minister of Great Britain.
I couldn't imagine Keir Starmer being part of the armed forces. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? Well, you've seen him punching the punch bag, haven't you?
he'd be good at walking robotically.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
I've never seen anybody
it.
punching a punch bag with less conviction.
That video, I can't believe that they put that out. I would have buried that as deep as possible, because
I know.
it's just the most embarrassing video.
Because he's just an embarrassing bloke.
There are many
but have a look at
embarrassing
this,
videos of him.
This is what he said on the run-up to the election about political parties, basically.
Oh my God.
There's his cold sore. Political parties that screw everything up. Here's what he said.
I don't know a period in history, and you will all think about this, where almost everything is now in a worse state than when they started in government. And this is not about Labour or Tory. If you leave your country in a worse state than when you came into government, you should be booted out.
OK.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, under those rules and under those circumstances, he should be booted out, shouldn't he?
Well, I look forward to his resignation on the basis of that clip.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
on earth?
He's such a complete and utter, I can't even say the word because I'll get in more trouble with Ofcom, but the guy just seems to be completely unaware of the way that people see him, of the way that the country sees him, of the way that the people of this country have had enough of him. They are 71% sure that he's handling the immigration crisis wrongly. They're also like 68% or something sure that he's making a complete dog's arse of it all.
I mean, he should have just stuck to law. Okay, politics. He's never been politics. He's never been good at politics. I think the only...
He's just crap at it, isn't he?
I don't understand how he managed to get to the point of being leader of the Labour Party, but the only explanation I have for it is that the Labour Party, they were so worried about the Jeremy Corbyn problem. The Tories were always painting Jeremy Corbyn as this very scary figure, and they figured if we get someone that is just really dull and boring, no personality, it's very difficult for the Tories to paint that person as someone really terrifying. And so that's what they did. They just got a managerial bloke with no personality whatsoever that's like watching paint dry, and thought that would be great. The Tories can't attack us anymore on the same lines as they did with Corbyn. And maybe they improved their popularity a bit in the short term, but as soon as they got the keys to power, he's been absolutely incompetent.
He's been useless, completely useless. Let's just take a little sidestep for a moment, because front page of the Mail today got wind farms hike your energy bill. We found out yesterday that energy bills are going to go up again because the price cap is going to be raised again to £1,755. Most people are going to be paying a lot more than that. But before we do that, because you're a woman, and I don't want to be in any way womanist about this, but they've also got on top of the page a picture of two women, Alexandra Shulman, who's written the piece, and of course Karen Brady, who is the, I think, chairman or something of West Ham. I wish we women would stop this silly obsession with hating our arms. And, of course, Karen Brady, famously last week, was pictured having presumably using Ozempic, lost a bucket load of weight, and they're now saying, why are we so ashamed of our arms?
I can.
I mean, as a woman, what do you make of that?
I can confirm that is a thing that women worry about a lot. Is
what, your arms
in photographs? Yeah. I mean, I have really muscular arms. I'm a kayaker. But then what happens is if I put my arm flat on me in a photo, the muscle spreads out, and then add a bit of fat on top of that.
So
it looks like your arm. It looks like your arm is way fatter than it actually is. And I mean, you can see in the pictures at the top of this, you've got one lady who's got her hands on her hips. If you lift your arms up, they look so much skinnier than if they're on your side, and then when it touches your side, it spreads all the fat and the muscle out on your arms. So,
but Karen Brady looks completely different from the woman that we used to know, like even 2 months ago, right? Because she's had all sorts of plastic surgery done. She's obviously been taking Ozempic fat jabs, which everybody seems to be doing, who can afford to pay for them. She's 56 years old, and she looks kind of skeletal to me.
Yeah, I think people who get there are some people that get a little bit of plastic surgery, and it works, and it works for them, and it does improve them. But all the people who have basically had their whole face restructured, they almost all look exactly the same, and they look slightly freakish, and I think they all slightly look a bit like Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you think of Karen Brady and how she looks now? Because she doesn't look like the woman that I used to... I mean, we used to interview her on Talk Sport, and, you know, she's a perfectly attractive woman, but suddenly now she looks ridiculously thin. Her arms look like matchsticks.
Yeah, she does look worryingly a bit thin there. I mean, it's quite hard... When you've got a nice airbrushed photo, that's one thing, but it's when you see it close up, and especially when they've say had a lot of Botox and filler, and then they start to age, the way that the skin kind of develops, it looks very strange.
It's kind of ironic that you like have Botox to sort of to fill out the bits of your head that get wrinkly, and then you sort of lose loads of weight, and then you have to put other things in to make it look as if you've got.
Well, this is the thing. This is why it's a vicious cycle. I mean, with Botox, it's not a one-time thing. You have to keep on going, and it's very expensive.
And this is the purview, though, of a lot of young women, isn't it? Because influencers, people who go to Dubai and spend their time, you know, taking pictures of themselves.
Yeah, that's the thing. Social media doesn't help, because if you just looked at all of the women in your community, do you have pressure to
do that sort of thing as a young woman, or not?
No, I mean, I will always look at all of the beauty trends and whatnot on Instagram, and I will follow accounts that say break down what plastic surgery certain people have had. But I always like all the natural beauty hacks and whatnot. So there are these Korean face masks that people put on. I think they're amazing, and it all soaks into your face overnight, and then in the morning it looks as if you've had Botox.
You wake up like you've been to Korea.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I just don't get it. But you don't feel pressured by it, though.
No, I don't. I think I'm quite lucky in some respects in that, for example, I've been born with like quite a nice little nose. I haven't. But if I had some like big humped nose or something, then maybe I would feel more pressured. I think it's hard with a lot of people. A lot of young girls don't realise that some of their favourite celebrities that they think are really naturally beautiful have had loads of surgery. So I mean, if you look at Kendall Jenner and Kylie Jenner, they often don't wear very much makeup. Kendall Jenner sometimes doesn't have anything on, and you think, wow, she's so naturally beautiful. That's the standard. But actually, if you go back and look at a photo of her before she had all her surgery, she looks completely different. Same goes for Dua Lipa and all sorts of celebrities. But if you just grew up in a community where you don't have social media and you just lived in a village of 100 people, your idea of the average beauty standard would be completely different to today, when your idea of average is completely skewed when you spend your whole time on social media looking at models who look incredible, who are all in perfect shape and have had all of this surgery.
Interesting. Okay, and Chloe Dobbs is here. We're talking about plastic surgery, which is not what we normally do, but for me it feels a bit like Friday, because this is my last show before I go off to America for a couple of days. So forgive me for indulging myself in some things that maybe not particularly are newsworthy. Let's get a voice note from James.
Morning, Mike. Yeah, saw Keir's video last night. Yeah, the strong handshake with Macron. Whoa, yeah, boy. Good God. I mean, and I think his tweet was something like, oh, this is like comes from grown-up politics and negotiations. What a lot of cobblers as usual. It's absolutely awful, isn't it? There's a really good article by Andrew Neil as well about how much net zero's costing us. It's like mind-boggling. And also, Mike, I got my tickets yesterday to come and see you and Jezza in November. So really looking forward to it. Keep up the good work, Mike.
Fantastic, well done, James. Fantastic man. Tickets on sale from Ticketmaster officially tomorrow from 10 a.m. O2 customers, of course, who are members of O2 can already buy via a 48-hour pre-sale. From now, you can get your hands on them right now. But if you haven't got any kind of connection to O2, you'll have to wait, I'm afraid, till 10 a.m. tomorrow. There's a chance, actually, that they were telling me yesterday that they might move it forward to 9 a.m. So you might be able to get it, and it's going to be a fantastic show. Shepherd's Bush Empire, which is part of the O2 network. It's where Terry Wogan used to do his show from. That's where it was an old BBC theatre in West London. A stone's throw from ITV, which ironically, of course, is where Jeremy Kyle used to work. But he's not at all in any way rubbing their noses in it. You know, we won't be in any way making fun of ITV during the show. We will, however, be producing what might only be considered to be some of the finest comedy and the finest kind of, you know, current affairs commentary that you've ever seen. We might even get Chloe Dobbs on, because we're talking about, you know, if things go well, we might do the show like once a month or something like that, and it'll be a kind of a newsy thing. But coming up, right, we're going to look at wind farms. He just mentioned it there, James, with the green proposals. Miliband promised to cut them by £300. Instead, the prices of energy are going up even more than expected. As the regulator admits, according to the Daily Mail, wind farms are actually going to cost us more money to actually heat our homes. What an absolute and utter shambles of government this is. 0344 499 1000. We'll get stuck into that after this. Welcome back to Morning Glory. It's coming up to something like 6:38 in the morning. We're here all the way through. The sun is up, by the way. The sun is shining. It looks like a very nice warm day. We are no doubt at the back end of the sort of hurricane that's hitting the east coast of America, and so there are some people like Kevin O'Sullivan down in Cornwall who are suffering at the hands of the back end of that. You're from Cornwall, aren't you?
I am indeed. I'm a Cornish lass.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of hurricanes down there in your time? Do you remember?
It rains more in Cornwall. Yeah. I think just because you're by the sea, you've got all the moisture from the sea coming up into the clouds, and it rains more. At least that's my theory.
So you get used to it.
When I came to London, I was like, oh my God, it doesn't rain every single day.
Here's a question for you. Do you get a sense that when you're in Cornwall, or when people are in Cornwall, that they kind of look in through a telescope to London and go, these people have no idea what we're living like, what it's like down there?
I think that people in Cornwall don't understand what London is like and what the rest of the country is like. So many of them rarely ever leave Cornwall. They rarely ever cross the Tamar Bridge into Devon even to go to Plymouth. I mean, there's
just to leave Cornwall's a big thing, right?
It's huge to leave Cornwall. I mean, most of the people that I went to school with, they're all still there. There are only a few of us that escaped so to speak, escaped pasty land.
Right.
There's very little aspiration there. That's one of the big problems. You can improve the quality of the teaching in the schools, for example. The schools there are rubbish, right? But it's not really going to do much if these kids don't have anything aspiring around them. The problem with Cornwall is literally their only industry is the tourism industry, which means that the best you can hope for is a seasonal job selling ice creams, and if you're lucky, you might get to be manager of the ice cream shop.
And the local councils
on about 15 grand.
And the local councils are so anti the sort of what they would call immigration of tourism that they actually don't want to encourage it. They want to stop people coming there and buying houses and all of that.
I had a huge fallout with the headmaster of my secondary school because he was behind the whole Second Homes campaign. And he suggested that the town that I lived in, that we should bulldoze the whole street of Second Homes and turn it into council homes, which I vehemently disagreed with, because that's where we get all the money from.
Really stupid.
And he has despised my guts ever since then.
Has he?
Yes, and when we walked into our GCSE exams, he'd say good luck to every single student and then turn his head away when I walked past.
Should we not name him and shame him?
It's called Mr. Dale.
Mr. Dale. Mr. Dale.
Hopefully he doesn't see this.
Absolute tosser. Sorry, I had to apologise for saying that word
really
yesterday.
hope he doesn't see that.
Let's have a look at what Ed Miliband said about saving us money on our energy bills, because, of course, the green way is the future.
This was based on independent modelling, which is what we used in the election, that said that bills would be up to £300 lower in a clean power system. And what I was going to say, Naga, and this is really, really important, is we now have the National Energy System Operator, the independent body that has looked at these plans and says it's achievable, which is really important. It gives us energy security, it will lower the cost of electricity, and it can lead to lower bills.
It can lead to lower bills, is what he says.
It could,
he used to say that
chance.
it would lead to lower bills. He used to say that it would save us £300 a year, right? However, on the front page of Daily Mail, wind farms hike your energy bill. It says here, Ed Miliband's net zero lunacy was last night blamed for a shock rise in energy bills that will see millions of households actually paying more for their electricity this winter. Let's see what Donald Trump had to say about it.
I hate to mention countries, but you look at the UK, what's happened in the UK, they have energy costs have gone through the roof. It's because of wind. They want to do everything, close up the northern parts of the country. They have oil, it's tremendous. And they closed it up, and they've been building windmills all over the place. And I tell them, you're my friends, but man, you're going to have a bad awakening very soon. It's going to be very bad.
It's going to be very bad. I mean, as much as I love Donald Trump, it is quite funny that he doesn't know what the North Sea is. He can't actually say, you know, the North Sea. It's parts of the north of... But the thing is that, you know, this green energy thing is a complete shibboleth. It's complete rubbish, complete nonsense. It's more expensive than it should be, and it's not going to save us any money. Why are we doing it?
They've managed expectations absolutely terribly. Sure, they may not have put a strict deadline as to exactly when bills are going to be £300 cheaper. They say also it's a long-term ambition, but they very much gave the impression...
They're never going to get cheaper.
They very much gave the impression that as soon as we get into power, you can get ready, as soon as Labour win the general election, for your bills to start coming down. But no, instead, I mean, here on the front of the Daily Mail, it says that the energy price cap will be 187 quid a year higher than what it was when they came into power. Right. The Labour Party, they could have said, look, we need to bring in some more diversity into our energy system for more energy security, but that's going to cost a lot up front, and so we're going to have to take a hit in the short term, guys. But they didn't do that. They promised people the world, not just on energy, but on everything, and it didn't happen, and now everyone is annoyed, quite rightly. And Ed Miliband, he can stand there, but just because he puts a high vis on doesn't mean that he's important and people are going to listen to him.
Absolutely not. I mean, have a look. It's not just Ed Miliband. He seems to have sort of a bizarre hold over Keir Starmer. I don't know what it is. I mean, people say to me that when you look at the Labour Party, the two most powerful people in it are Ed Miliband and Angela Rayner. And you kind of go, I can see Angela Rayner because, you know, she's obviously a woman that doesn't, you know, take any crap from anybody, and she sort of puts her elbows out and, you know, says, I'm going to do this and don't care if you don't like it. But Ed Miliband is such a sort of useless-looking individual, sort of kid that you would have beaten up at school, you know. I don't know how he actually managed to envisage himself in any position of power. But have a look at what Keir Starmer says about energy bill reduction. This is before the election.
Now, clean British power is, you know, renewables, which is about a third of the price of fossil fuels at the moment, and that ought to bring down the household bills by about £400 for each bill. But that's a permanent drop. This is the big difference, I think.
It's just, sorry, bollocks. It's just rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah, so one of the things I've seen in there's a spread on it in The Sun, is that the wholesale price that the government is offering to wind farm developers to keep them happy is now triple what the government was offering them just 2 years ago. So apparently the cost of wind technology was going down towards 2021, but now it's going up again. And for various other factors and reasons, the amount of money we're having to offer the wind farm developers to get them to keep building these wind turbines is way higher, which means that even if we do get all of these windmills built that Ed Miliband talks about, probably, now that he's having to offer a load of money for the energy they produce, is not going to bring our bills down.
Again,
and one of the reasons why...
but you come back to the point, if you have to subsidise things to make money, then it's not sustainable as an enterprise, as a business. If you have to, you know, if I said to you, right, I'm going to sponsor you, you know, because I think you're going to write loads and loads of really interesting articles, you're going to make £150,000 a year, I'm going to give you £1,000 a month to make you happy to do that. And then after a while you go, actually, I'm not writing anything for anybody, and I'm just putting money down the drain. And that's kind of what the green economy is about. You give all this money to these wind farms, you subsidies, you charge the taxpayer for it, the energy bills go up, because at the bottom line there's a little bit about, you know, subsidising the energy that you're supposedly getting from wind farms, and it's not working. It doesn't make any money.
I mean, the thing that's even more infuriating about people having to pay more because of subsidies to the wind farms is the fact that people are having to pay more to turn off the wind turbines. Which is insane.
Right.
We're spending loads of money turning them off because when it's a bit too windy, the national grid, which is built for the Stone Ages, simply cannot cope.
Yesterday it was really, really windy. I haven't seen the stats, but you can very happily go on the internet. I'm sure somebody will send it to me, and you can see where the energy for the national grid is coming from. And it's very rarely more than about 20% coming from. On a good day, it's coming from wind.
Yeah, and that is why it is completely and utterly bonkers that Ed Miliband, who's supposed to be some sort of serious politician, was suggesting that on the basis that we're acting as though we're in a position to be completely reliable on renewables now, he said, oh, let's put cement down the last gas wells in the country. Let's have no new exploration in the North Sea. As if, snap of the fingers, tomorrow we can just be completely reliant on wind and solar.
Right.
What planet is this guy on with this little ukulele?
I know.
It's insane.
He's an idiot. But don't worry, I've got a plan.
Okay.
There's a guy called Jürgen that we'd like to talk to, who runs GB Energy. He's up in Aberdeen, not very often, but here's what he has to say about energy bills.
It will help bring energy prices down.
When?
Well, it's a matter for government and policy to decide.
But as the boss of this and as someone who is driving forward the ambition of the government, you surely have an idea in your head of when that central pledge to the people of reducing their bills by £300 will come into action.
It is not in the remit of Great British Energy to work out exactly how that energy costing gets through to the consumer.
He's like...
That's the whole point of setting up GB Energy.
Comedy energy
Bring
man.
people's bills down.
I know.
And he says, not in my job.
Nothing to do with me. You know, comedy...
wasn't on the job spec, sorry.
Jürgen, I'll tell you what, Jürgen is our favourite comedy figure. In all of the ridiculous comedy figures in the government, it's going to be Jürgen who goes, it's not my job. Yeah. What is your job, Jürgen? Would you mind? We've asked him to come on several times onto the show. He doesn't come on.
Oh, dear.
Because he doesn't really do anything. He's got nothing to say. Anyway, listen, Chloe Dobbs is here. I'm Mike Graham. This is, of course, Morning Glory, the home of common sense. It's coming up to 6:48. Coming up next, maybe we'll talk about if you've got a long thumb, apparently it means you've got a large brain. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll check it out. We'll see what it all means. Coming up next. Welcome back to Morning Glory, 6:52. Chloe Dobbs is here with me. This one from Donald, who says, my wife's fat jabs have doubled in price from £110 to £230. Great show. Well, I hope you've got plenty of money in the old fat bank, to be fair, and I hope it's working for you. Here's one from Sean who says, we need the Trump clip. They don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
That's exactly right. And Peter says, Mike and Chloe, I haven't bothered with plastic surgery. You can't improve on perfection. Peter in Suffolk. Yeah, all right, Peter, calm down. Send us a picture. Tell us that you look as beautiful as ever. Just before we move on and talk about any number of other stories, we're going to cross the United States of America. Charles Feldman joins us, US political analyst, because a terrible story again. Another high school shooting. Is actually a primary school shooting that took place yesterday in Minneapolis, at a place called the Annunciation School. Lots of children injured, 2 dead, it would seem, at a Minneapolis church, and suggestions that the person who was the shooter, who's also been killed apparently, or may have taken their own life, is in fact a trans woman. Charles, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Thanks very much. Terrible story, and my condolences obviously to the good people of Minneapolis. But what are you hearing about the shooter and what the possible motivation might have been?
Well, it is, of course, a very, as you said, sad story. This was a Catholic school, and it was the first week of school, actually the third day of classes.
Yeah.
And so the students were gathered for a mass in the church part of the school when the shooting occurred. According to various law enforcement sources, it appears as if the shooter's mother, first of all, may have been an employee in the past of the school, and that would sort of make a connection between the shooter, obviously, and the church. It's not clear whether or not the shooter actually was a student herself at the school in the past. And I'm saying herself, by the way, because as you mentioned, Mike, it has been confirmed by law enforcement that a few years ago, the shooter filed court papers to change her name from Robert to Robin, and identified very much in recent years as female. She also left behind quite a bit of social media, and it was pretty gruesome stuff, Mike. It was pretty violent. It appeared to have references to shooting and killing people. So it's really rather shocking. The weapons, by the way, that she had, 3 of them, were, unfortunately, as is often the case here in the States, the weapons were apparently bought legally.
Right. And assault weapons, presumably?
Yeah, a rifle, a shotgun, and a smaller caliber gun.
Right.
You know, and so she was quite prepared for what she was doing.
Can we call her he, by the way? Because I mean, if he's a trans woman, he's a he, isn't he? He's a bloke. I don't really give a stuff for the political correctness, and he's also dead, so I don't think you have to worry about that.
Well, yeah, you're right. Biologically,
he's a he.
You know,
he is a he.
Although he identifies.
I don't care how he identifies himself. He's now not only is he now dead, he's also a bloke with a cock. Sorry, you know. Can we
that's
call
one
him
way
a
to
he?
put it. Yes.
He's not. You know. Let's not call him she, shall we?
Well, I'm just telling you what the law enforcement folks
I don't care what they say. He's a bloke with a penis.
Okay.
He's a man, okay? He might put a dress on. He might think he's a woman, but he's obviously very, very upset about the world in general, and he's killed some children. So let's not give him any credence whatsoever.
Well, we don't nearly know, to be fair, Mike. We don't know whether or not the beef that he or she had...
He's not a she, he's he. He.
All right, okay, so it's a he.
Just call him a he.
But the main point here, Mike, is whether or not...
The main point is he's killed some children, so he's a bloody scumbag. And he should have... and thank God that he's dead, because if he wasn't dead, I'd shoot him myself.
Yeah, no one's arguing with that, but you know, they're looking for a motive, and the motive could be anything from his confusion about his sexual identity to
which I couldn't care less about.
Right, to his feelings about Catholicism. I mean, you know, it's not coincidental, perhaps, that this shooting took place not at a regular
I was
school,
raised
but
as
at
a
a
Catholic.
school.
You know, I went to confession, and there were times when I questioned whether or not my faith was the right thing to do, and whether or not it was a good idea to have an abortion with my first wife. But at the end of the day, I didn't go around shooting people in a bloody school. You know what I mean?
No, and that's very admirable.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyway, listen, really Charles, we've got to run. Thank you very much. Charles Feldman, US political analyst there. Sorry, sorry to I'm not trying to trivialise what happened, but I'm sick to death of people calling these absolute tossers, you know, she. He's not she, he's a bloke.
I know.
With a cock who's been shooting children. Why are we going to give him the dignity of going, oh, maybe it's a woman? It's not a woman.
I mean,
when
it comes to any trans women, regardless of whether they've shot kids or not, I will normally always say he.
I mean, that's kind of at the end. I mean, that's still the end of the spectrum.
Yeah, but in this case, this person deserves no respect from me whatsoever. So sorry, you're a bloke.
I know. Should we end on something slightly more, shall we say, fundamental? The thumb scenario. If you've got a long thumb, apparently, it means you might have a large brain. This is according to a piece in the Daily Mail. Let's see your thumb. Show me your thumb. I don't mean show me your hands.
Well, I mean, as I was saying to you...
You've actually got quite small hands.
Yeah, as I was saying to you in the break when we were filming Plank, Jeremy was commenting on how tiny my hands are. So now after seeing this story, I'm worried that means I'm dumb.
Does that mean you've got a very large brain? According to the piece in the Mail, so thumbs and brains are likely to grow in tandem. Primates evolved over millions of years, apparently, according to a study from University of Reading and the University of Durham. Abilities apparently have been fine-tuned through millions of years of brain evolution. So the bigger your brain, the bigger your thumb. So, I mean, I don't know. My thumb, I think, is average size.
I mean, maybe you can have little hands and how... You know, maybe it's the ratio of thumb size to hands. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm trying to justify why I'm not dumb now.
I saw a press conference with what's his face, the boxer, one of the heavyweight boxers, and somebody asked him a question about the size of his hands. I'm not going to go there.